now, I have the vehicles laid out almost exactly 50 meters from each other for a visual representation, and we will go over there and look at them up close and get your hands on with that in a second. But we're going to try for a little bit better spacing. Usually we kind of get either gapped out or too spaced out, or too close, or whatever the case may be. So we're going to try to work on learning what 50 meters at least looks like, so we can understand that if we're too close or too far when we're actually driving. We'll also learn staggering formations off-road if we're under threat of something like IDF or an air assault by a helicopter. And any additional vehicles in the convoy, depending on how many people we have on the ground, which dictates how many vehicles we have, will be slotted in between 5 and 6. So that kind of answers your question with having an additional Bradley. It's going to go in between the very last vehicle and the ambulance, regardless of what that vehicle is. All right. Phase 1. So this is the responsibilities of individuals and positions within the actual formation. We have your convoy commander, who controls the movement, gets and requests sit reps, gets fire coordination, and routes out your guys' rally point or where you guys are going, your OBJ. The vehicle commanders will maintain the spacing. They'll direct vehicle dismounts, and they'll report contact. Vehicle commanders will be basically the highest ranking person in said Humvee. Usually that's what it is a TL, or it could be an SL, just depends on who's in the Vic. Then you'll have your gunners, who obviously are gunning. They're maintaining your proper arcs of fire. Your drivers, which will maintain your mobility. They're under command of that vehicle commander and convoy commander, so they're doing what they're told, not necessarily making their own decisions. You have infantry, which are going to be your passengers. They're going to be dismounting, assaulting, supporting, whatever is needed from them. And then you'll have your medics, who are usually embedded with the ambulance somewhere in the rear of the convoy. For sit reps, a vehicle commander or a convoy commander, after contact or once you guys get rolling on route to where you're going to be going, might ask for an ACE report or a sit rep. So you have your sit rep examples, which would be something like driving down the road and you start taking shots. It'd be contact east, and then it'd be 2 wounded. Say 2 guys got smacked in the fucking face by bullets. Engaging, which you're currently doing, but you're going to be resuming movement. So you're shooting and moving. That'd be like a sit rep. Contact east, 2 wounded, engaging, resuming movement. Your ACE report, which I'm sure a lot of us already know what an ACE report is, for those of you that may not be familiar, that's going to be your ammunition, casualty, and equipment. So it'd be something like, we're red on MG, we're green on rifle, that'd be your ammo. Green, yellow, and red will kind of indicate what you're looking like. Black really is basically absolutely nothing. Your casualties you can call out like 1 times KIA or 2 times wounded, but they're stable, things like that. And then your equipment will be any kind of status on your equipment, either like guns or vehicles, things like that. So it'd be like 1 tire popped on lead Humvee, still mobile, something like that. Everybody got it? ACE report, a lot of us are already familiar with it, but some of us might not be. You guys good?
Yeah.
Could you review again the different responsibilities between the convoy commanders and the vehicle commanders?
Yeah, of course. All right, so a convoy commander is going to be controlling the overall movement of said convoy, as in one entire entity. They're going to be controlling requesting and getting sit reps from individuals. That would be from the vehicle commander. They're going to be getting the sit rep, and they're going to be pushing that up to base plate or whoever's in command overall. The convoy commander also does fire coordination and rally point routing. The vehicle commanders, which are just obviously going to be usually the passenger seat of each Humvee, really, are going to be keeping sure that everybody's maintaining a good spacing. So really making sure that your Vic, let's say it's behind the Bradley, you're the 3rd Vic, and you're behind the Bradley, you're going to make sure your driver's keeping his distance from that Bradley, and so on and so forth. And each individual vehicle will have its said commander. The convoy commander inside the Bradley is likely going to be both for his vehicle and for the entire convoy. The vehicle commanders are also going to be directing vehicle dismounts. So if we're taking contact right side, we're going to say, hey, well, which we're going to get into in a second, but you'd basically be telling your guys which side they're going to be getting out of, et cetera, et cetera. And then they're going to be reporting contact. So if you hear contact, you're in the rear Vic and you start getting shot at from the rear, your commander in the rear vehicle is going to yell out, hey, contact rear, contact 6 o'clock. Good?
Do the vehicle command are the vehicle commanders the one who give the sit reps to the convoy commanders?
Correct. So they would be gathering
Okay.
the information from their guys in their Vic, and then they would be passing that up to the convoy commander upon their request. The convoy commander will then push it up to base plate, for example.
It's like
Okay, thank you.
essentially the vehicle commanders are the team leaders of the vehicle, and the convoy commander is the squad leader of the vehicles. If it makes it easier to think of it like we do on the ground.
Everybody good? I mean, if you guys are curious about something, just ask a question. Okay. All right. Moving into phase 2. So these are going to be different types of scenarios, per se, that you might find yourself in when in a convoy. Scenario 1 will be sniper contact. This will be with no dismount. You guys are not going to be hopping on a VIX in the middle of being shot at by a sniper. Not very smart. So let's just walk you through it. A sniper fire hits the front of the convoy, hits the very lead vehicle, and it dings off the very top of the VIC. Your gunners and your Bradley are going to start engaging from the vehicle. There's going to be no dismounts unless the vehicle is disabled by the sniper fire. And you always take casualties to safe locations if you're able. So if you take your passenger takes a round by a sniper fire and they get uncon, right, you're not gonna dismount immediately, right? You're gonna start returning fire. But you're gonna try to get that Vic or try to get your casualty to a safe location. If you don't have to stop, you're not gonna stop. If you have to stop for whatever the situation depends, you're going to stop. But for the most part, when you're getting shot at by a sniper, you are not going to stop the entire convoy. You're going to return fire and continue moving. Also, our vehicles, and I'm not sure about the Bradley, but I know the Humvees have smoke launchers on them. If you have them and your driver knows how to use them, which I will teach you guys right now, but I hope everybody kind of understands how they work. I will teach you guys how to use them. You're then going to maintain your convoy movement to your rally point, to your location in which you're trying to go. You're not going to stop. You're not going to make a right when you should have made a left and panic. You're going to follow your route while maintaining fire the entire time. Then your sit rep will come through from the information gathered through your vehicle commanders and so on and so forth of what's going on. To be, sniper fire to the north, 1 casualty. We're suppressing and moving to rally point such and such. Just kind of giving us an idea of what's going on. So everybody, even all the way in the back of the convoy, kind of have an idea of what's going on, because sometimes they hear fire, they hear shooting and rockets, and they start panicking. That's usually what happens, and that's not good.
Also, I think the Humvees only have 1 smoke pod, so like, don't everybody fucking spam smokes when we get shot at by 1 sniper. Like, just let the lead Vic smoke and then everybody else push through.
Yes, precisely. All right. Everybody good with scenario 1? Everybody kind of understand that type of scenario, kind of grasp that?
Sure.
Oh my god, stop it. All right, scenario 2. Let's say now we're going to get shot by an RPG. So this is going to be an RPG hit with a vehicle disabled. So let's say you're in a convoy, and the rear vehicle gets hit by an RPG. Immediately, the convoy will halt while still maintaining spacing, if at all possible. Don't just slam the brakes when you guys are 5 feet from each other. You're going to get grouped up. The Bradley is then going to rotate backwards to the back of the convoy. They're going to push back in reverse to cover the rear, and they're going to start suppressing. Your gun trucks on all the Humvees are going to establish a 360-degree security. So that'd be sectors of fire with the MGs on top, Obviously, you want all sectors of fire covered as much as possible, depending on where you are in the terrain. Then you will have a dismount from the recovery team, which is going to possibly, here in this scenario, be your middle Humvee. So that very middle Humvee will be your recovery team. They're going to get out and dismount from their Humvee from the non-contact side. So luckily in this game, the left occupants can get out of the vehicle and the right occupants can get out of the vehicle on their own sides. So if we're taking contact from the right, you're not going to get out on the right side of the Humvee. You're going to stay in said armored Humvee. The left side, the non-contact side, would get out and establish a recovery team, right? The Casevac, the ambulance, should be there in between now, your Humvee and the Bradley. You're then going to use said Bradley while they're suppressing to go and extract your casualties from that rear vehicle while under, I guess, suppressive fire from the Bradley, and you're going to get them back to the ambulance. Medics will not be sprinting out of the Humvee and being on the recovery team, because the recovery team is going to put themselves directly in the line of fire on purpose to try to recover casualties, and the medic is not going to help by risking his life when he could just sit back in cover waiting for that recovery team to bring back a casualty. Then the recovery vehicle is going to send a team, the recovery team, to demo that said disabled vehicle, if it is not already fucking demolished, like blown up. Then once everybody's stable, once everything is calmed the fuck down, you guys will then remount into your respective vehicles and continue on your journey. 1 second, I'm reading the side chat. Yes, good point, KB. The right side occupants could then move over to the left. Yes, correct. You could slide over to the left, take over their seats. And then vice versa. When they're coming back up, if you guys are still under contact, you can jump back into your right side seat from inside the Humvee, and the recovery team could get back into their own seats. All right.
This was an oversight on my end on the training document. When we dismount on the road, always do the herringbone thing. That way you're pulled off the road and the Bradley has clear access to back up and down the road as they need to support whoever they need to.
Yes, and I will go over the herringbone formation on what that is supposedly supposed to look like with you guys that aren't familiar. What's up, Sidoosh?
Oh, I was just gonna fucking reiterate that. Every time the convoy goes into a full halt, we will go into the herringbone formation so that Bradley can do whatever the fuck we need to do. That's it.
Yep. Alright, and then the sit rep for that situation is just going to be dictated on what you guys are dealing with in front of you. So it'd be like, rear vehicle hit, disabled, we're recovering the crew, Bradley's covering, there's a Casevac in progress. Just kind of give an update on what's going on to baseplate or to everybody else in the convoy, just in case they're not all aware. Like, for example, the very front vehicle might not be 100% aware of what the fuck is going on. So as long as everybody's on the same page as soon as possible, everybody can do what they're supposed to do. All right. Everybody good on scenario 2?
We'll go over these like before we throw you in, because we're gonna do each scenario at once, like talk about how. So we'll go over the objectives again. So if you don't 100%
Yeah, I'm more of a visual learner.
Yeah, that's fine. We're just going over a little bit of introduction of classroom stuff here first, and then we'll move on to the practical shit.
All right, I'll visually blow you the hell up here in a little bit, Tony. You'll learn real quick.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you. It'd probably teach me more than this.
All right.
It's gonna happen.
Scenario 3. Scenario 3 is going to be what you guys are most commonly used to, kind of running into when you're on an op, which is going to be your kill zone ambush. This is going to be a full dismount and an assault. The way you're supposed to handle it instead of just driving through it. So let's say in this situation, your convoy is moving through a narrow area, like a tight village with buildings on both sides, high-rise or tall buildings on both sides. You will have your front vehicle halt because there's possibly an IED in the road or near the side of the road. Your ambush will then initiate from both flanks. It's going to be from your left and from your right inside the town. The actions immediately following taking contact. The Bradley and the gunners are going to start suppressing both sides immediately. You're going to have... Sorry, 1 second. My wife is calling me.
My wife.
I thought
Great
West
success.
was gay. So,
Okay. So again, Bradleys and gunners suppress both sides immediately. We'll go over in the herringbone, but basically whatever side you're on, that's the side you're looking at. It makes it easier for everyone. Make sure, again, we maintain all the spacing and cover that we can get to, especially
I'm back.
in this type of situation. Beautiful. Go for it.
Thank God. Sorry, guys. Brothers are going to start suppressing both sides immediately, taking contact from both sides. Your vehicles will maintain spacing and cover. Cover will be dodgy, as you guys will not always have it, just depending on where you are. Sometimes you might be in an area that has literally nothing but solid walls on both sides, and then the only cover you have are vehicles. Your infantry is going to dismount on the non-contact side. Again, this is kind of fishy, kind of sus, because you're taking contact from multiple flanks, both flanks. There's not necessarily a non-contact side. That might be the rear of the vehicle or the front of the vehicle, just depending on where you're getting shot at from. But you're going to have to probably dismount on a contact side. But you will have your Bradleys and gunners suppressing during that, which will allow you to move if you need to through contact. Then you will begin bounding assault on an enemy position. So let's say we're driving through a town. There is a small compound on the left side and the right side. You guys are taking shots from those buildings. What you're going to start doing is forming up a stack to get your guys' teams into those compounds while you're under suppressive fire from your Bradley and your gunners. The ambulance is going to hold behind cover, waiting for clearance, so that if you're in a tight area, per se, right, and the ambulance is in the rear, and you guys have to halt, everybody's dismounting. Obviously, your medics are not going to fucking dismount because they're going to risk getting killed. Unless it's absolutely needed, you're not going to get out of your Vic. What you can do is back that Vic up out of the kill box to a safe location, possibly behind a rock or behind another structure that's outside of that kill zone, etc. Wait for it to be clear for you to push in, or wait for any type of tasking for casualties. Then if you need to push a medic up, you can do so under fire support. So if it's absolutely life or death, he's going to bleed out, you need a medic. You can use fire support from a gun truck or from an assault team on the ground to push your medics up and grab those casualties and get them out of the kill box. Once your fire superiority is established, you will then recover from the situation, remount, and move on to the rally point or to wherever location you guys were headed. That scenario is going to be a full dismount and fight scenario. Everybody should be shooting. Every sector of fire should be covered. Everybody should be out of the vehicle. Got it?
Question.
This is also a good time to mention, good time to mention, don't just fucking let the guns bark. Make sure we're like control firing so we're not all running out of ammo at the same exact time.
What other question?
Yeah, I was going to ask, so the scenario 3 is that you come up on a possible mine or IED and the convoy halts, correct?
Yes.
At what point would you want the infantry to dismount when you've called an entire convoy halt? Because like there's been some discussion of like once you've halted for an extended period of time, you should just go ahead and dismount so you have guns looking 360.
Theoretically, within ARMA, if you're in a situation where you're halted, like called to halt because of a possible obstruction like an IED, you're going to swing the guns in every possible direction. So obviously your front truck's going to be pointed forward, your 50 cal is going to be pointed forward, your sector fire is going to be basically that first cone right in front of you, directly off your nose. Your secondary vehicle will either choose left side or right side. which will be your Bradley. So your Bradley will look left or look right. Then the third vehicle will look in the opposite direction of which the Bradley's looking, and then the rear vehicle will be covering the rear. That should cover every sector of fire that you have in a 360 before everybody dismounts. Was that your question, or?
Yeah, I think that establishes like a good point of making the VIX take 360, and then once they have that covered, then you dismount. Is that like the protocol?
I would say for ARMA to not have everybody just jump out, because I know that 90% of the people are not going to have 360 coverage. They're going to be 9 guys looking in one direction anyways. It'd be easier to have the front truck, you face forward. The second truck, pick left or right. The third truck, pick the opposite. And the very last truck, pick the rear. There you go, because that's 360.
Okay.
It's you know what I mean? It's 4 guns, 360. Instead of having 28 guys dismount, and then 19 of them are all looking west. And then there's a giant gap, including the fucking machine gunners. I've seen it happen. So, which I was hoping to try to go over this. So thank you for bringing that up. All right. Any questions on that? No. All right. I'm gonna run through the last couple of ones because they're not that important, but yeah. All right, you'll have vehicle demo, which if your shit's getting blown up by an RPG, you're probably not going to have to deal with it. I don't know how often we will deal with this, but here it is. You will gain fire superiority before recovery or attempt to demolish that vehicle. Your recovery team will move on the non-contact side. The recovery team here is going to be more so your demo team. Once they're clear, your demo charges are going to be set on the wrecked vehicle or destroyed vehicle and blown at a safe distance. We don't necessarily have sappers. I don't know how that's going to go. Recover the crew before any of the equipment. So if they have a Humvee loaded with fucking casualties and a shit ton of shit in the trunk that you don't need, recover the crew before you recover all the shit in the trunk. The Bradley and all the gunners of the other gun trucks will be holding your overwatch on that recovery team. Now, again, not sure how often we'll end up using that, but it's there. The CASEVAC protocol also, here we go. This is more so for my medics to listen up. The ambulance will halt at a safe location. Now, this is when you need a CASEVAC, okay? So let's say you guys come under fire and you guys need a CASEVAC. The ambulance is going to halt at a safe location. The medics will dismount only with suppression in place. You're not just going to move. You need to move with fire. You will recover the wounded using the non-contact side. Load the casualties back into your ambulance. Stabilize them, and the ambulance will return to the rally point under protection. Never push an ambulance into a hot zone. Prioritize security before movement. I'm going to say it one more time. Never push the ambulance into a hot zone. Never push the ambulance into a hot zone. All right. And the last scenario. We have the air threat indirect fire. For an air threat, which would be like an Mi-24 kind of attacking the convoy, you will disperse to approximately 100-meter intervals, much more spacing. Your gunners will then start engaging the aircraft with the machine guns. You will focus your fire on the cockpit or the front of said helicopter. You will try to take cover and avoid clustering, and you will keep all your comms brief. Exactly how you would think you would react to a air threat attacking a convoy. I would hope you guys would not stop. I would hope you guys would continue moving, making his job to hit you harder, and you will start engaging the shit out of it, essentially. That's all. Distance, engage, don't stop. Very simple. For indirect fire, it's a little different.
So for this part, I would like to actually talk about this in more depth after you read it, because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but we'll talk about it.
Okay. So the IDF, how do you react to an indirect fire scenario while you're in a convoy? You will then immediately disperse off-road into a herringbone formation. The best way I can describe a herringbone formation for my visual people while trying to explain it to you is basically, God.
Yeah, just pull out your map
Essentially,
and
you'll
look
pull
at
off the side of it. Go ahead.
Pull out your map and look at the pink lines to our north. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah. You'll pull off the side of the road at like a 45-degree angle. Really, the main objective is just to clear the main the main road area itself. It's really what you're after. So you're gonna, when you start getting IDF, you'll start immediately dispersing into that off-road herringbone formation, pulling off of the pavement. You will try to leave that center of the road clear, like I said. Then the gunners and Bradleys are going to start suppressing that suspected direction of where you guys are taking fire. You'll then wait for a cease in IDF. You'll reorganize your convoy, and you'll resume the route.
Okay. So that's kind of what I was wanting to talk about. Is 'cause it, like, what if we don't know where the fire is originating from, and then why would we want to stop in the middle of artillery? But I googled it, and that's pretty much what's supposed to be done. So like, that's open for discussion. Or somebody convince me the right way, because like that seems kind of dumb to stop. But
It's just
I get it in a way.
ARMA, with the way that the GM effects go with mortars, is they're random unless they're purposely put down. I would say if a GM wanted to do an indirect fire scenario with a convoy and didn't want to absolutely like mass cast the entire fucking team, they would just do individual mortars and place them in parts that are not on top of vehicles. So that way you guys don't just accidentally drive into a fucking incoming mortar, because I've seen it happen. What's up?
I have a I have a question. So say like we're in indirect fire, right? And we're supposed to pull into the herringbone formation. What if like the road, say like we have a bunch of like chasms, like a bunch of rocks near us, and we can't pull into that formation? Like what if we're in a very tight area, like we were a couple of days ago, or we couldn't pull into that formation?
See, everything, all of this training is fine, but everything will be very dependent upon your scenario and like the surroundings of which you're at the time. So if you were to come into fire while you're inside of a town, I would say try to just get as far off of said road as possible. You might not be able to have a perfect herringbone formation, but as long as you could try your best to just clear the center of the road, the main chunk of which the enemy is most likely aiming at, if you're talking about like an IRL application, you're trying to aim for the road, which is where the vehicles are. If you get off of said road, you mitigate your risk of getting hit directly by a mortar.
Okay.
Yeah. Just try your best to get out of the middle of the road.
I guess what I'm getting is this part of the training will really only work if the GM is clear that like once they pick a direction and start suppressing that, then like they need to cut down on the fire, or else they're just going to be stopped getting hammered with artillery forever because they don't really know where they're getting shot from.
Right. Yeah. And our GMs, I mean, all of our GMs understand all of this kind of stuff. Hope.
So,
they don't
question.
Just, like, fuck you guys. What's up?
When it comes to, I guess what Doobie just said, I'm just kind of trying to clarify here. When it comes, when it comes to like kind of what Doobie was talking about, so just to clarify the SOP, I guess, if we do get contact from mortars while we're in a convoy, are we to suppress, because it's kind of, because especially with the GM mortars, I don't think there's an actual sound you can hear with like whether it's 60s or 81 millimeter mortars. You can't really hear, like there's no sound of like the obviously the mortar going into the tube and firing. So is that still like, is that going to be our SOP, to just kind of everybody just collectively agrees on a direction, or is it just kind of like we wait it out kind of thing?
No, there's a way for us to get the mortars out while you guys can visually or Jesus Christ, audibly hear where it's being fired from, the direction.
Okay.
There's a way for us to do it. And if that situation comes up where the GM wants to do an IDF situation while you're in a convoy, not something I don't think we've done ever, but it's a possibility. There's a way for us to do it. So
cool.
Actually, yeah. Okay. So what I think I don't necessarily know. I mean, like we take over AI and obviously launch mortars at y'all ourselves, but as far as like the GM effects, you won't necessarily be able to tell when it's shot out of the tube, I don't think, but you can definitely tell what direction it's flying from. Because it's got like a good little 2-3 second inbound whistle.
If a GM were to do IDF on a convoy, they're better off using a physical AI model with a actual mortar tube. and call it in that way so they can actually hear it being shot.
You're gonna have to show me how to do that then, because I'm
Yeah,
not.
that's easy. I got you. All right. I think that was it for the written classroom shit. There was a full mission, like a whole thing, but I'm gonna let Doobie kind of run you guys through that so it makes more sense and it's fresh in your mind. All right, come with me to that Humvee that's over there.
Did
Come,
Gothic have a
come,
question,
come.
or did he ask it?
Oh, do you have a question, Gothic?
I'm pretty sure I asked it earlier, so I think I should be good. Thank you, JV. Appreciate that.
What the hell?
All right, everybody come to this Humvee.
Does it matter what group I'm in?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
All right, I'm gonna run through this very quickly so you guys can get going on actually moving Vix around. Go ahead and get in. I don't give a fuck who. I want 5 people in this Humvee. I don't give a shit who. Nor do I give a
Literally
fuck
not you,
what seat
'cause I
you're
wanna
in.
get you a
I don't
K.
give a fuck.
Or fuck it, whatever.
Everybody that's not a Humvee, come on this side of the road right here, where I'm standing, right here. All right, everybody close your doors in the Humvee.
Defines duck.
Oh my god.
You tell
Get out
me.
of the Vic. Hold on.
You guys, I'm back.
Everybody back the fuck up,
What is
please.
this?
Bloated. Come with me.
Fuck something up.
Alright.
Come with me.
Not all of you at fucking once. I just need 5 people in the Humvee. Define, get the fuck away from me. That's what I absolutely do.
Alright, here you go. Take this. You can customize it more later, but for now that should do you. Just save it. Drop the the old vest. And stuff.